How are you, bro? How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm very good. We've just been very busy, but it's all good things.
Cool, man. Hey, congrats for the new album. I already listened to the album and it's awesome. It's the best or one of the best albums of the band that I ever listened to. So good job, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We're very, very happy with it. We
Mm.
just played some shows last weekend and we're actually playing more starting tomorrow. We'll be back and then we're going to Europe and I'm excited for people to hear it everywhere. It's been great.
Cool, man. Cool. Hey, this interview will be divided in two parts. Yeah, if can I say, like, first of all, I have some questions related with you as a musician, and others related with the album, obviously. So the first question is, how were your beginnings on the drums? And also in metal music, are there any member of your family that is a metalhead or musician, or you are the unique metalhead?
Yeah, so I started playing drums as a kid. I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. I'm 28 now, so it's quite a while ago. Um, my mom was kind of into metal and she showed me some stuff. She was like, I remember driving home from school one day and she was like, have you ever heard of Slipknot, this band Slipknot? And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no, And
yeah.
so she showed me that when I was maybe 10 or something. So
Mm,
I started playing drums to just like basic rock songs like,
mm,
AC/DC and
yeah.
Space Grace and stuff like that. But yeah, my mom's a metalhead. I grew up on like rock and roll, so country
Mm,
music, rock and roll, but she showed me a couple things that really kind of set me down the
yeah.
path.
Mm.
I had
Good.
some friends in school that gave me CDs and stuff. But
Cool. What was the first song you learned on drums?
oh man, the very first song,
One from Kiss?
yeah,
Yes.
this no, this I'm not sure. It was probably man, that's crazy. That's very hard. I used to play because I played so many songs. I remember when I was younger,
Mm,
3 Days Grace, Animal I've Become when I was in like
yeah.
when I was like 8 or 9 years old, because the drums are just like this, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
So I remember being like, oh, that's easy. I should try to learn that. Uh, and then I tried to learn some like easier Metallica stuff,
Yes.
and then but yeah, that's a
And
good question.
and what song do you consider the most difficult song that you're trying to learn?
Oh, like now or as younger?
The time that you want. When
Okay.
you was younger.
I remember really struggling with Slipknot music.
Mm,
Like 'cause I really wanted to learn how to play like Slipknot, Avenged Sevenfold. I remember those being difficult, but like a lot of those songs were on like Rock Band, Guitar Hero, so I would learn how to play it on Rock Band and then
yeah.
learn how to play it on real drums. But I remember some of our stuff has been some of the hardest stuff that
Mm.
I've tried to learn because like there's some bands like Infinite Annihilator, like extreme
Oh
deathcore
yeah. Yeah,
that
yeah.
I just never tried to learn. I was just like I have no interest in trying to learn because that doesn't really do me any favors.
Yeah.
Some of our stuff, like Malevolent, Enslavement, Death Whistle, those songs were
Yeah.
really hard for me to like
Yeah,
to
are
get.
crazy songs and crazy bands, man. Are very technical. When I was younger, because I'm 24, but when I was 13, I played drums and I learned some songs like Korn, Blind,
Yeah,
and some Slipknot songs and My Chemical Romance songs. But one song that I always comment that was really crazy for me was Blinded in Chains from Avenged Sevenfold. That song
yeah,
is it's crazy, man, because it has a lot of time changes and it's really fast. I love Jimmy the Rob Sullivan, but it's really hard follow their steps.
yeah, absolutely. He was a huge inspiration for me. Still is. Now I
Yes,
still love
yes,
the albums he did with them are incredible. Like it's brilliant.
yes, yes, and Joy as well was Joy Jordison was incredible. Speaking about it, make me a top three best drummers that you like and why.
Ooh, okay. I think my favorite drummer in the last few years, in the last like 10 years, has been Mario Duplantier from Gojira.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's another huge inspiration of mine.
Yes.
Thomas Hack from Meshuggah, it's too easy. It's
Mm.
too easy. You can't miss it. Um, and then I would say something that's a little different. My third would be either a tie between like Benny Crab, who's like a funk drummer.
Mm.
Chris Coleman is he's like another fusion drummer. So
Mm.
I really appreciate those styles of drumming a lot. So I would put one in that with them in there. But if I have an honorable mention, I would go with like one of my friends, like Bryce Butler from Shadow of Intent. Like he's mind blowing, or Dave Ricky from Sentinels. He's also a mind blowing, incredible drummer. There are a lot of great drummers out there.
Yes, yes, yes. Speaking about it, how signs of the swarms uh, still or keep going on the industry with all these bands of deathcore and all these bands in general in the industry, because it's really hard, being a highlight band today with a lot of bands, even with the way of generate a good budget or generate money to still living, in the industry.
Yeah.
How do you keeping yourself and your band in the industry?
Yeah. So we're obviously like a lot of it is just it's a tie between hard work and luck, like
Yes.
so we do work a lot. We work every day on the band, whether it's just something as simple as phone calls or we're on tour, we're writing music, making content, social
Mm.
media, like we tour a lot to keep our income moving, I mean obviously like we work with the label and they help us with our records, our videos, that kind of thing, which is wonderful. But as far as just maintaining, it's like, yeah, we go on tour, we try to make the most out of the time we have at home, with our families, our friends, and then we hit the road. We're a band that thrives on tour for sure. We love playing for people, and obviously, like that's how we make the majority of our money, so we can keep
Mm.
going. We
Yes.
sell merchandise. So yeah, I mean, it's a very silly answer, but it's just stay busy, do everything. We do
Yeah.
everything we can to just keep our name in people's heads and
Mm.
try to make good music that
Yes, yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, we can say.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is.
How do you feel working with Century Media Records? I know that this new album is the first album of the band with them, but for example, what differences do you find between Century and Unique Leader?
Yeah, so I always say this when people ask, I do have a great appreciation for Unique Leader Records. Like they were the first people to take a chance on our band, and for the most part they treated us very well. So yeah, I appreciate them a lot. But um they are mostly based out of the UK now. And Century is home base in Germany, but they have a ton of people who work here in America for the label. So the access and like the ease of availability and communication is much easier. Also, like we tour mostly in the US, so we get to spend a lot of time with these people, building physical, like in-person relationships with them. But yeah, I mean, it's not to say Unique didn't treat us like family or anything, but as soon as we started talking to Century and the people that we work with now, it just felt great. Like they felt like an extension of our band, like people
Yeah.
we wanted to spend time with, and they really treat us like people more than just a band.
Mm.
So I'd say that's the biggest difference, is really just the ease of communication,
Yeah.
and feeling like a bit more part of a team, like a team of people than just like a kind of like an employer-employee situation.
Cool, man. Awesome. I made all these questions about the drums and your beginnings because all people that knows you knows that you are drummer mainly, but also you were bass player, then drummer again, and now in this album you are in charge of the guitars and the drums as
Yeah.
well. I want to know, how did you feel facing this new challenge, if can I say? Because I imagine that maybe at a certain point it's difficult being in charge of more than one instrument. So how was your experience?
Yeah, so when I first joined the band in 2014, I was actually playing guitar. So was in bands for years before that, like in my hometown. And I would pick up guitar and just kind of learn to play our songs, like my other band songs, and my friends would teach me how to play some riffs so they could like solo over it or learn harmonies, you know. So that's kind of how I learned to play guitar, like not very well, but just enough to do little things. So then I joined science because I had been playing drums in bands for years, like 6, 7, 8 years. And I wanted to do something different, and they were looking for a guitar player, so I just like begged them to let me join the band. So my first couple years I was writing and playing guitar for the band, and but just I was only writing really smaller pieces of the music because Corey was doing a lot of the writing. Like he had just had a vision, and he was great with that. But yeah, so I already kind of had the sound of the band, you know what I mean? Like I have a good idea of how to play guitar for the band, write music, and
Yes.
yeah, I ended up playing drums because shortly after I joined the band, our drummer I think he had a death in the family, and so he decided to step back. And I'm still friends. His name's Greg Charlie. I'm still friends with him today. He's a great guy. And then yeah, ended up playing bass for a while, came back to drums,
Yeah.
and so
Oh,
over the
yes.
years I've more music on guitar. Like every album feels like I've written more. Our fourth record, Absolver, I wrote a lot of that record, not all of it, but a lot of it. And then this one I wrote all like most of it. I would say the hardest part is just like that's separating it, because like I have to, you know, write and like learn stuff on guitar, and then I have to go back and learn on drums and like really put the there's kind of like doing double work, you know. But
Yeah.
it's just time. It's time consuming more than anything. It's not really difficult. It just takes a lot of like mental energy.
Yeah, imagine. For this album, all the riffs that we can find there are made by you or are made by another guitarist, and then you executed all these riffs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So some songs, like there were two songs, Borrowed Time and Echelon, that we wrote together with Cameron Lush from Born of Osiris. So some of those riffs he had wrote, and then he would send them to me, and I would retrack them so that way it all sounds the same. So yeah, I would have to learn those songs and then write, you know, I was writing our own songs. So everything except for some guitar solos. When Carl, our now guitar player, he came to the studio the last week we were there, and there were some parts that we just, you know, he was like, oh, maybe this. He gave us some ideas that we wouldn't have had otherwise, you know. So because I'm not a solo guitar player, I can riff, but I can't side. I don't have any solo. So that was nice. He definitely added that, like a little bit of flair to some of the songs that I wouldn't have thought of, which is cool.
Great, man. And in general, and summarize, how is right now the creative process of the band? Because the band doesn't have the same members that had in the beginning of your career. You are actually the unique member, right? The only one member that is still going with the band. So
Yeah.
right now, how is the creative process when you say, okay, it's time for a new album? How do you
Yeah.
start?
So usually, like every other record, pretty much we just wrote together in my house or our guitar player's house. We would just get together and then, you know, sit at the computer and write, and then we'd practice a bit. And then our last record we did a little differently. We pretty much just wrote it all in my house, like mostly by myself, and then we got together to record it. But yeah, for this record, because we were on tour so much, we didn't have nearly as much time to write. So we pretty much just wrote a few songs, and then we went to the studio and we wrote the rest of the songs in the studio together. So just a lot of you know, just sitting in a room and just making it happen. But we've done over the years, we use like Zoom or Skype because you can share your screen, you know. So I'll sit and share my screen with the guys, so that way we can all kind of be at home, and it's very collaborative. You know, it's just a lot of sending things back and forth and sliding things around, and then Dave kind of goes and does his lyrics, and yeah, we work. You know, it's funny. You know, I do a lot of the writing. I do a lot of like the you know, physically holding a guitar,
Yeah.
but we are very collaborative. Like everyone, you know, has ideas, and
Perfect.
contributes. So it's not like it's just me, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I just happen to be the one doing the recording most of the
Perfect,
time.
perfect. And when you start your own creative process, can you compose from scratch or zero and completely alone, or do you need some inspiration or something that say you, okay, Bobby, it's on this way?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So
Mm,
sometimes I'll be really into a certain band or a certain kind of music, or we'll come off of tour and I'm really feeling great about, playing music and I
mm,
can just kind of push something out. The way I record and write is a little weird. A lot of the times I'll do like half of a song in a day and then
mm.
I'll stop and then I'll come back and then try to finish it. Because like I think it's a little bit better that way to get some context and it'll make you think differently than just staring at a computer all the time. But yeah, we a lot of the writing we do is just from zero, it's just like David will kind of mention something to me like I have this lyric idea or I really want something that's very heavy or I like he'll send me random sounds sometimes from like YouTube, like
Yeah, yeah.
just noises and stuff and he's like, hey, this is really cool. Could you maybe do something that's with this style, So we do a lot of that. It's just trial and error, Just start from scratch and then I'll just start building layers and layers.
Is there any song that do you consider very demanding to play them live?
Yeah, honestly, most of them. Like, I appreciate I get a good bit of praise from from friends and fans, that are like, oh, you make it look easier. So I'm like, it's not easy for me.
Mm,
I just focus a lot, I think a lot. So um on the new album, I would say we're playing a lot of new stuff right now. Like Pray for Death is very difficult. The Amongst the Low and Empty, the title track is pretty difficult, especially the ending is very
yeah.
it's some of it's luck. I'm like just kind of like hoping for the best sometimes. Yeah, Dream Killer is very, very difficult. But like I said before, some of our older stuff, like our first few records, there's not anything that's extremely hard. It used to be very difficult for me when I started, but I've played them so long now that it's just kind of like,
Mm,
like cesspool of ignorance. Like that kind of stuff is just embedded in me, so I don't have to think about it very hard now.
mm.
But like Malevolent Enslavement, still very difficult song to this day. A lot of weird timing in that song. Death Whistle is very difficult because it's just long and exhausting. It's like 7 minutes.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, honestly, a lot of the stuff is difficult. It never really gets easier. It's just it becomes easier to like trust myself.
Yeah.
So I'm still putting in the same amount of work, but my brain can kind of relax a little bit versus like having to visualize the what's happening next all the time.
Mm,
The muscle memory really helps.
mm. Cool. And speaking about the title track, I want to know about the video of the title track. How
Okay.
and what was the video for the title track made?
Yeah, so we worked with Joey Durango. He's a friend of ours. We went to, I believe we were in Nashville. Yeah, went to Nashville to film.
Mm,
So we found a sick room and it was very dark and cool. And we had a whole plan for the acting for that. We had a whole story. But the performance shots of us in the room came out so good. Like I think they're probably the best performance videos that we've ever had. So we actually ended up sacrificing a bit of the storyline to show more performance because the song's really crazy and energetic. It just felt right. But we had originally had this idea to have a bunch of different like totems for seven deadly sins. Um, and Amongst the Low and Empty is like it's about being around people that are not so desirable, basically growing up really in a poor childhood and like not letting it affect you, like having those things affect you but being able to overcome them.
mm,
So we kind of had this idea of each individual person represents a different sin or represents a different something that like a trauma, something like that. and it's all kind of being absorbed into the main character, and then he's, you know, expelling it and becoming better. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the idea for the video. But yeah, I mean, we had to make a bit of a sacrifice on the acting stuff because we wanted more of the performance. So it's a little more vague than we had originally intended. It doesn't quite get the same point across, but I think if you know, you can figure it out. But otherwise, you're just like, oh, this is kind of cool. But I
Yeah.
really like that video. I think it's just a great looking video. It was a great like set off for the album, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, it's a really good song. That's my favorite song actually, and it's a really good video. Congrats.
Thank you.
Hey, another thing that I really like is the cover art, man. It's beautiful, but at the same time, it's very disturbing, I think, because there is a lot of people that, you know, are like a stone, and man, that's the terrible. But you know, is there any reference to something or any message behind of this image, or are connected
Yeah.
the cover artwork with the lyrics of the album?
Yeah, very much so. So, um, we had originally planned on doing a different cover. So, like, if you open the booklet, there's something inside behind the CD. That was going to be the cover because we had like originally taken the idea of you know, amongst the low and empty. It was like you're this figure. It was like it was meant to be a figure that was like greater than the things that, you know, that, like I was saying, like the sins and the traumas that built
Mm.
this person.
Yeah.
But we ended up getting a bunch of those towers. If you look closely on the art, it's a bunch of towers of torsos with a bunch of little bodies stacked on top of each other. So the guy that we were working with, Gaber, he had sent us some renders of that for the inside to go like with lyrics. And the one that's the cover just really stuck out to me and just felt like very dark, and it just kind of like pulls you in, you know. It feels low and empty, which I think is really cool, you know,
Yeah.
kind of fits that vibe. So yeah, references, there's a lot of different things. Like on the inside, if you open the book, there's some things that reference Echelon, like servants and serpents, and which is kind of like the main skull figure on the inside. But yeah, that cover art, it just feels dark and it's
Yeah.
pretty to look at. It grabs your attention, but yeah, it's like you get that in the middle there where it's kind of blacked out and faded in. It just kind of sucks you in. I think that's cool. You know, it just
Yeah.
fits the low and empty vibe. You know.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. And I want to know about your experiences on tour, man. I mean, do you have any bad experience at a show or tour in any moment of your career, or something crazy that happened and remain as an anecdote?
Yeah. So we've done some tours with flying where we've lost like
Mm.
all of our gear before. So that's pretty traumatizing. So a lot of the times when we fly now, we're very scared that our stuff isn't going to show up. And so we've learned to get like the Apple Air tags and we put them in everything now
Oh,
because we've lost
yeah.
a lot of stuff over the years.
Mm.
And then we played the Philippines. It was very rough. We did Asia last year and we did like 22 flights in about
Whoa.
30 days. And it was exhausting, no sleep.
Yeah, I
Everyone's, you
imagine.
know, very on edge, you know. So that was very rough.
Where was that, in Latin America or another?
Asia. There's Asia, Australia, New Zealand. Yeah,
Uh,
we lost a bunch of our gear. We ended up getting it back after about a week, but so we had to really overcome a lot of bullshit for that show. No, I'd say, you know, I remember right before the pandemic, right before COVID, but before the
Mm.
pandemic, we did a tour of Shadow of Intent, and we played in South Carolina, I think.
Mm.
And everyone was sick. We all had stomach bug that we end up started thinking it was COVID at the time because that
Oh,
came out, you know, afterwards
yes,
that it was.
yes, yes.
So yeah, we were so sick. That was like the sickest I've ever played. I remember playing on stage just like completely deadpan, like you know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
desperately trying to not throw up. And
Mm.
so yeah, learning to kind of take care of yourself, like drink water, not eat the wrong things, pay attention to what you're eating. Because when you're home, you don't think about it as much. You're like, oh, if I get sick, like, you know, it
Mm.
sucks, but I'm home, you know.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
like if I get sick, I'm in a van and then I have to be in a city 10 hours away the next day. It's like I'm gonna be sick for a long time, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And what was or what experience do you think that was the best experience for Signs of the Storm? You know, the best gig or the most big gig that you ever played?
Yeah, the biggest one we ever played actually, ironically, was the Philippines, and on that Asia tour, we played to like 3 or 4,000 people in the Philippines. It was incredible. But I think one of the most satisfying for me is Atlanta, Georgia, here in America. We have a venue there called the Masquerade, and they there's like three different sizes of venues in the building. So there's like the small stage, the medium stage, and the big stage. So we had played them all over the years, but we did, I want to say the first time we played there with Chaos and Carnage with like Lorna Shore and some other bands, and it sold out. And that was incredible because we've been going there for years, and to see, you know, to play the big stage and have it sold out, it was just incredible. And then we played there again with Whitechapel recently, and like, so that venue, the Masquerade, has a huge place in my heart, just because the staff there is very, very incredible. And you know, every time we go back, they remember us and they treat us well. And that was a very special moment for me, seeing that place sold out after like 8 years of playing there. It's really cool.
Speaking about it, I have two questions related with Lorna Shore. One, if you want, we can speak it. But the first question, would you like do a collaboration with Will Ramos, for example, for Signs of
Yeah. When we do like features for Signs, we try to do something different, you know, just because like Dave has a pretty unique deathcore voice. So we're always trying to like really branch out. If we're gonna do something like that, we want it to be, you know, like we did have Ben Dura on a track before, but it was like we try to give people very interesting spots that would be different for them, you know, like we don't want anything to be predictable with our band. We always try to, like, we have Matt Hayfield on this record, very different for what we do. Like the last record we had Alex Arian from Despised Icon doing some like yelling and stuff like that. We've had Matt from Kubla Khan, which you wouldn't expect with our band, you know. So we try to do stuff like that. But yeah, I'm always down to try anything with anybody. And I love Will. He's a very, very nice guy. But yeah, I mean, Lorna Shore's great. They've been friends. I'm very grateful to call them friends. We've been playing with them since we were both tiny bands playing in basements, you know, in 2015. So
the other question related with Lorna Shore, and that we can skip if you want. David is awesome. I love David. I love and I'm sure that you as well. But if CJ say you, man, I want to come back to the band, what do you say?
Oh, absolutely not. I have no problem putting it out there. It's not
a good decision, and obviously there is David, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not even personal. I mean, that's a whole, we could talk about that situation all day. So I mean, you know, he got the offer for Lorna Shore. He chose to leave. He kind of left us in a bit of a bad situation, but I never really held it against him. I was like, well, I understand. Lorna Shore's an incredible band. Like I don't blame him at all for taking that opportunity. So I think some people think that there's like hostility there, and there's really not. We don't talk really, you know, we don't talk anymore. I don't really talk to a lot of the guys in the band, but it's not like I don't hate anybody or anything. You know what I mean? It's just like some of the people, you know, we've had some not so great, you know, breakups, you know, with the band, but like generally, like, I'm not a spiteful or like grudge type person. I'm busy and I'm here to work, and I have, you know, I have to do what I have to do for us to keep going. But yeah, I mean, obviously I prefer David's vocals. I think he's an incredible vocalist. We get along a lot better. I think a big thing that was the change with the switch from CJ to Dave was like CJ didn't want to do a ton of touring at the time. I think it's just because of money, you know, touring costs, especially at that point we weren't making a lot of money. But Dave came into the band and just like, you know, he was like, whatever you guys want to do, like, I'm here to do it. Let's fucking go. Let's hit the road. So pretty much, you know, obviously Disfigurement of Existence came out, and that was a big record for us. But CJ left just about 3 or 4 months after that record came out. So we had only really done like 2 tours with him with that record. So, you know, I think something that a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, we would not have, that record would not have done so well, even though it's CJ's voice on the record, without Dave picking up the reins and like us touring for years on that record with Dave performing it, you know. And because CJ didn't really want to tour very much at the time. A lot of the guys in the band didn't really want to tour very much at the time. It wasn't just him. I'm not going to put it on him entirely, but finding new members that were willing to tour as much as we needed to get out there and show the music to people and grow the band was vastly more important than any record we've put out. You know, like I think touring does better for you than putting out music as far as growing the band. So, but no, yeah, there's no chance. We got a good thing going on. So.
Yeah, I understand, man. I understand. Now, and I think very easy question. Blast beats or breakdowns?
Breakdowns, because they're easier for me to play.
Cool, man, cool. And what do you like the most? Slow death metal or fast death metal?
I think it depends on the band, really. You know, like some bands do the fast thing really well, and some bands do the slow thing really well.
Like Morbid Angel, for example.
Yeah, I love Morbid Angel. Yeah, like, so, you know, I really like this new wave of like brutal death metal of like Sanguisugabog and you know, like necrotic gore beats like Slam and stuff. I love that because it's pretty slow, you know, slammy stuff, but it's like the kicks are fast, and I like that a lot. I like this meld of like slam, hardcore, brutal death metal that's happening, like Peeling Flesh. It's also really cool to see live because you get a lot of the dudes that are like, well, I don't mean dudes, but you get a lot of people that are like hardcore fans that will kind of delve into that. And you go to those shows and people are just beating the fuck out of each other at the slow parts. That's what I like to see. I like the chaos. That's the thing with usually with faster music, it's more like circle pits and push, you know, push moshing. You know, I like seeing people fight. So I think I like the slower stuff a little bit more personally.
Great, man, awesome. One of my last questions are what are your future plans after this release? Do you have in mind a Latin American tour maybe? Because I'm from Argentina and I want to see you, man. I want to see you live.
Yeah. No, so we went to Mexico for the first time this year, and we met some people down there, some really great people who are interested in bringing us to Latin America. We were talking about Chile and Argentina now. So hopefully it works out. We're working on it now, but yeah, we're doing we're already booked well into next year in 2024. We're doing Europe starting next week. We're doing a full US direct support for Carnifex.
Yes.
For their record as well, Necromantium. Yeah, we're staying busy. I think we'll be back to Europe. I think we're going to be doing our first ever full headliner as a band in US, which is cool. And then yeah, we're trying to get down to Latin America. We're working on it. We're trying to go everywhere. You know, we want to be everywhere. So
perfect. Now the last question is, what advice would you give to a band or to a drummer that is just starting out in the industry?
Yeah, okay, so this is a great question. I love talking about this actually. So my biggest advice is just have fun and do whatever the fuck you want and don't let people tell you otherwise, because it is very, very difficult to do and be successful, and you're going to fail a lot, and then you're going to have moments of success, and then you're going to fail, and then you're going to have moments of success. So do something, make music, do what you really enjoy doing, because otherwise you're going to hate it and you're not going to want to keep doing it. So be true to yourself, enjoy it. And then also I would say just be smart about what you do. You know, like that could be different for anybody, but like really think about the things you're doing. Like we've made mistakes of, you know, taking every tour offer or putting out a record too soon or something like that. You know, like pay attention to what you're doing and when you're doing it, and don't try to rush everything, because like we're going on 10 years now as a band, and it's just recently do we feel like we are getting successful, you know? So you know, you could be a huge band within a year. It could be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do it because you love to do it, not because you want to get something out of it. And that's my biggest advice.
Cool, man. Perfect. Man, my class ended. But I had the good luck that I recorded all, so that's I don't have problem with that. But we reached to the end, man. Was a great interview. Was a great interview. Was really nice meet you, and I wish you a lot of success, man, in the upcoming tours and the upcoming projects.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good luck, man. See ya. Take care.
Yeah. Take care. Yeah. Have a good one.